Well, I want to welcome everybody. I'm Al Townsend. We run the Townsend Livestock Market in Madison, Florida. One of the smaller markets in the state, but probably the best market in the state. This is my nephew, Rick. He's a fourth generation. His mother, Barbara, and myself are third generation owners. And we're just glad to have everybody supporting livestock markets. If you didn't have the livestock markets, I don't think we'd have anybody to set prices for cattle. Our market started in 1948. We were the largest hog market in the state of Florida for a long time, and we would sell as many as 2,000 hogs a week. We no longer have a hog and goat sale, but we have cattle sales every Tuesday. And, most of these hog farmers that got where the hog industry went sour, and these people turned over to cattle.
There's only 7 markets in the state of Florida now, and the market industry in the whole state, agriculture as a whole in Florida is tough, and it's a dying industry with so many people moving into Florida every year. The people that Uncle Ab dealt with 30 years ago, they used to work their own cattle. Well, we still have the same customers, so they've gotten older and they can't do it themselves, so we go out and help a lot of them. We have 2 sets of portable pens, a hydraulic calf table, a hydraulic chute, and we take it all. If we need to take it all over there to work their cattle, we do it. But one thing I will say in the cattle industry, most people, especially in the markets, if we tell you we're going to do something, we sure try to do it.
The market industry is a good industry. The best people in the world are livestock market owners. If you go see your livestock market man and need help, he's going to help you.
My name is John Willis. I'm with the Columbia Livestock Market in Lake City, Florida. A little history on the market. The market is now the oldest continuous market in the state of Florida left. The market was established in 1936 on the rail station. My parents bought it, and I was involved in 1966. My parents ran it along with a little help from me until '82, and my wife and I both, we bought the market, and we've had our 2 sons fall in with us as well. And we hope that is special to the people as they are to us. Really, we're the last Sebastian of the cash market there is in agriculture. There's nowhere else you can take any other commodity and get a cash fair value, market value, and a check at that time. You're constantly educating new producers. In doing so, you get people that don't know how many cattle they can put on an acre of land, or how to buy, or what to do, or how to feed. People do not understand. The people we deal with don't even know there's an animal ID program going on now. And Florida is one of the only states that require information of cattle going from market back to farm. You always hope that you can educate people and teach them once again what it takes to put that food on their table. So we're not outsourced. We've raised a family and done all right on raising a family, and we're going to have another spurt of good times here.
I'm Burton Bellamy with the Ocala Stockyard. I'm 50% owner in it. Wayne Davis is my partner in it, and we bought it in 2013. We sell cattle every Monday. The first and third Friday, we sell hogs, sheep, and goats. There's not many of us left in Florida, the livestock markets. It's getting less and less markets, and that's due to less and less cattle in Florida. There is a few, but there's not many young ranchers here. It's hard for a young man to get in the cattle business with the price of land here. And leased land is real hard to get here in Florida now. And you cannot go buy any of this Florida land and put cattle on them and raise them and expect to pay for it. That's not going to happen. I think that's a lot to do with it. The land is so valuable. It's hard to take $20,000 acre of land to put a cow on it now. And that's just the truth. I enjoy the people you meet, especially the old timers that come in here, and get to tell stories with them and talk to them about the history of the cattle in Florida. the breeding of the cattle in Florida has changed a lot in the last 30 to 40 years. Charolais and Angus cattle has changed Florida a pile. We used to have lots of Brahmers down here, but now you can come to Florida and get us that #1 calves now. We're more of a service than we are anything else now. The people's got the small ranches has got to have a place to go with their cattle. The small farmers or whatever that's doing it for tax exemptions and stuff. You know, at the livestock market, there's somebody here for every animal. So there is a value at the livestock market for every animal you have.
I'm Todd Clemens. I'm part of the Clemens family Okeechobee Livestock Market in Okeechobee, Florida. And I'm proud to say that I am the 3rd generation. The market back in the 60s here in Okeechobee just sold 1 day out of the week. Back in those days, it wasn't anything for us to run 2,000 on Monday and 3,000 or 3,500 on Tuesday. There wasn't near as many people. There wasn't near as much development. We might have 80 or 90 consigners, and we'd have 3,000 head of cattle with 80 or 90 people, and now we have 3,000 consigners and 90 head of cattle. It seems like in this industry has changed, and location of cattle certainly has changed. Osceola County was loaded with cattle before Disney World. And my grandpa was a cowman, I think it was in the 50s, not sure what year, but guess who came to town? Walt Disney. Just telling the story like I heard it, but he is wanting to put in a theme park or something. So Mr. Earlo took Walt Disney in an old Willis Army Jeep riding through his land, and all it was is just cypress ponds and swamp, a lot of it, and you know, just barely suitable, a lot of it, to even to run cows on, and they'd have to wade in water half the year. So Mr. Earlo thought this is pretty marginal land, there's not a whole lot to it, and if he could get something for it, he might be better off. So Mr. Earlo came back in after they had shook hands and made the arrangements, and my grandpa were sitting there around the table eating lunch, I reckon it was, but he said, man, he said, I can't believe that somebody paid me that much money for that God-forsaken land. We all know the rest of that story. This market is very important to our town. It's where we share information. We have different groups of kids that come by here on ag tours from 4-H and FFA. We also have tours that come in from out of the country. We're also being ambassadors for Our Way of Life, and we promote conservation easements. We promote preserving the land, the green space. With all these people moving into the state of Florida, 1,200 people a day, probably more that we don't know about, we're under a lot of pressure. But we're zeroed in and trying to keep the cattle industry, the cattle production end of it, in business. The key word you hear is sustainability, and if we can't make these ranches profitable, then they're going to sell that land and they're going to get out. And when they sell that land, it's going to turn into concrete one way or the other. And I don't know how you turn it back or you stop it. You probably don't, but you do the best you can about trying to promote agriculture and promote cattle industry and what it means. That's what we're trying to preserve. It's a whole lot more to it than just selling cattle through the ring.
I'm Christina Fort, office manager here at Sumter County Farmers Market. We've been a market here since 1937. Very local here, homegrown place that a lot of people love. I'm a 4th or 5th generation true Florida cracker myself. One of the places I grew up on was a 10,000 acre piece of land, and trying to round up those cows was a work, definitely a work, but now it's hard to even find that amount of woods because you can't go a mile in a lot of places without seeing a house. We probably have close to maybe 1,000 people on any given Monday at least come through here. We have a variety of people that buy here, anywhere from our big order buyers. You can't forget the ones that buy the poorer cows. They mean a lot to these markets. A lot of people don't realize you cannot have a sustainable society without agriculture involved in it. And if they keep squeezing us, I mean, That's when we worry about the sourcing of the meat, you know, because these other countries aren't as strict on rules as we are.
Arcadia Stockyard, we've been here since 2005. I guess you would say we're the newest market in the state. And I started out with my grandfather, learning from him. It was a dream of mine. It was what I felt like I was supposed to do. Livestock market situation came by just as a different opportunity. It's a unique situation being where we are. We get a lot of pressure from development and different things of that nature. We have a lot of environmental impacts that our state and the federal government take seriously in South Florida especially. Citrus industry is big in our area, but it's going out. We don't know what that may play a part in an expansion of cows. Hoping some of them will go into cattle. They probably started out in cattle at one time or another. I think the only problem Florida has is we have too many people. When I was a kid, we probably had 7 or 8 million people, and now we have 23 or 24 million. Long term, I don't see us, hopefully, not getting a lot smaller. We basically have a year-round growing season, you know, and that's a huge benefit. We have decent soil, and if you feed it a little bit, if your cows are on a good mineral program, you rotate them and you have improved pasture, you can run a lot of cattle per acre. A lot of people are doing a lot more with a lot less now, which is the nature of agriculture. We have to adapt and get better at what we do, or we get out. One thing that makes us unique is we are one of the furthest south livestock markets that you can get to, and it's hard to get here, but it's also hard and a long way to get cattle out of here to get them out west, you know, which puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage freight wise because our freight is high, you know, but the cattle seem to make up for that in the quality and the ability to stay alive in the feed yard.
I'm Dave Tomko. We're at Cattleman's Livestock Auction Market in Lakeland, Florida. I'm the owner-manager of the market. We've been here since 1951, so we've been in the cattle industry all our lives. Throughout the years, the number of cattle that come through the market has dropped dramatically just due to urban sprawl. At one point, we were kind of outside the city. Now we're in the city. A lot of the ranchers that are around here have sold out and they're subdivisions now. The bigger ranchers around here, a lot of those guys are gone. A lot of them have gone to selling direct or on Superior or producers. Every calf they raise does not make a load, so we're still here for the cattle that they can't put on a semi-load. The quality of our cattle has improved dramatically over the years. We've pushed for our producers to kind of go into a herd health and a management programs. We try to educate the best we can. So there's 2 times to sell a calf, and that's when he's ready and when you need money. We can't fix all problems, but some of them can be. And if we can fix them, I know most markets do their best to keep the customers happy. Everybody's important to us. And again, if it wasn't for us being here, those cattle would not be bringing what they are today if it wasn't for all the livestock markets in the United States.